At 1:23 a.m., the reactor exploded during a botched safety test. 2 workers died instantly. Within minutes, fire brigades from Pripyat and the plant raced to the scene, expecting a regular industrial fire. They arrived wearing standard turnout gear: helmets, rubber boots, canvas jackets, no radiation suits, no high-range dosimeters. They climbed onto the burning roof, sprayed water on graphite moderator blocks that had been blasted out of the core, still glowing and lethally radioactive, and fought flames in the turbine hall. Many picked up chunks of graphite and fuel with their hands to clear paths for hoses. Within hours, the first men began vomiting, feeling a strange heat inside their bodies, tasting metal in their mouths. 134 of these first responders developed severe acute radiation syndrome, ARS. 28 died in terrible pain within weeks, skin peeling off in sheets, organs failing, infections overwhelming bodies with destroyed immune systems. Others survived, but carried lifelong damage. They had absorbed doses between 2 and 16 sieverts, levels most humans never survive. No one told them the core was open to the sky. The danger was invisible, odorless, silent.
Pripyat lived a normal Saturday while being poisoned. On April 26th, Pripyat, a modern young city of nearly 50,000 built to serve the plant, carried on as usual. Children went to school, couples took wedding photos, people queued for bread, milk, and ice cream. Laundry hung on balconies. Kids played football on dusty fields. The new amusement park waited for May Day celebrations. Radiation levels rose steadily throughout the day, especially in grassy areas, puddles, and dust stirred by feet and tires. Many felt mild sore throats or a metallic taste, but blamed smoke from the plant. Windows stayed open. Children ran barefoot. No sirens, no warnings. Only on the afternoon of April 27th, more than 36 hours after the explosion, did authorities finally order evacuation. Loudspeakers announced a temporary relocation of 3 days. Residents calmly packed passports, money, a change of clothes, and left food on tables, kettles on stoves, pets locked inside. Almost none.
The liquidators. Hundreds of thousands sent into the radiation zone. Starting immediately, the Soviet Union mobilized around 600,000 to 800,000 liquidators, soldiers, miners, engineers, reservists, construction workers. Early teams dropped thousands of tons of sand, boron, lead, clay, and dolomite from helicopters to try to smother the burning core. Robots quickly failed in the intense radiation fields, so young conscripts, called bio-robots, were sent on short, desperate runs. Sprint in, shovel graphite or fuel fragments off roofs, sprint out. Rotations lasted seconds to minutes. Many received doses that would cause sickness or death years later. They buried topsoil, hosed down buildings, drained contaminated water, built crude dams, cut contaminated trees, and constructed the first sarcophagus, a rushed concrete and steel shell finished in November 1986 to contain the ruins. Thousands suffered long-term cancers, thyroid disease, heart problems, cataracts, and psychological trauma. The plume that crossed borders. Radioactive isotopes, especially iodine-131 and cesium-137, rose high into the atmosphere. Winds carried them across Belarus, worst hit because of rain, Ukraine, Russia, and then into Scandinavia. Sweden detected abnormal radiation on April 28th, forcing Moscow to admit something serious had happened. In Belarus, contaminated pastures led to radioactive milk. Children who drank fresh local milk absorbed huge thyroid doses. Years later,
thousands of thyroid cancers appeared, mostly in those who were children in 1986. Europe monitored the plume in real time. Fallout was uneven, heavy in some valleys due to rain, almost zero in others. The accident became the first major radiological event to affect an entire continent. The long shadow: health, environment, and fear. Health consequences: 5,000 to 6,000 documented thyroid cancers in children and adolescents, especially Belarus and Ukraine. Increased rates of leukemia, less clear link. Possible rises in breast cancer, cardiovascular disease, cataracts. Much larger psychological burden: chronic anxiety, depression, distrust of authorities, Chernobyl victim stigma. The exclusion zone. A 30-kilometer radius, later adjusted, became the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. 2,600 square kilometers of abandoned villages, forests, and farmland. Nature reclaimed it. Wolves, bison, deer, lynx, and wild horses returned in large numbers because human pressure disappeared despite radiation. Some elderly residents, Samosili, quietly returned to their villages to live out their lives on ancestral land, accepting the risk rather than dying in city apartments. Cleanup cost and new safe confinement. The original sarcophagus began leaking within years. In 2016 to 2019, a gigantic steel arch, the new safe confinement, was slid over the ruins. It is the largest movable land structure ever built, designed to last 100 years and allow eventual safe dismantling of the reactor remains. Lessons carved into global nuclear safety. Chernobyl forced the biggest safety revolution in nuclear history. Better reactor designs, no more positive void coefficient like RBMK. Automatic shutdown systems that cannot be overridden. Stronger containment buildings. International safety standards and peer reviews. Emergency planning, potassium iodide stockpiles, transparent reporting. Chernobyl didn't end in 1986. It became a slow, generational event, measured in thyroid scans, exclusion zone patrols, steel arches, wildlife counts, cancer registries, and the quiet fear that still lives in the memories of those who were there.